All right, joining me now to talk a little Yankee baseball, John Jastremski, JJ, New York podcast. Check it out. It's fantastic. JJ, welcome. Good to see you, brother.
Moose, it's a pleasure. I wish I was here on better terms after what happened with the baseball teams on Sunday, but I think all things considered for both, not the worst spot to be in. We're A-okay. What's up, man?
All right, we'll hit on both of them. Let's start with the Bombers. They win their first series in over a month, but they lose Sunday's game brutal fashion. How much win do you think this takes out of the Yankees' sails the way it went down in Camden today?
Well, I think a good amount considering who the opponent was, number one, and the opportunity that was in front of the Yankees to have sole possession of first place going into the All-Star break. I think mentally, Moose, that would have been a huge deal. And Ben Rice hits the home run, top half of the ninth inning. You take the lead against Kimbrel. You need to go and get 3 outs. That is a monster home run from the New York Yankees, the youngster first baseman. And then to see Clay Holmes walk the ballpark, Anthony Volpe boot a ball at shortstop, and then Alex Verdugo misplay a ball in the outfield that, to be honest, Moose, I would have been able to catch because I at least would have taken that first step back. I think it really does dampen the momentum you have from winning this series. Look, I think the Yankees would have signed on the dotted line for winning 2 out of 3 games.
Right.
But the way you lose this game in the ninth inning, Moose, that's a tough pill to swallow.
No doubt. Clay Holmes, you ran through it. He was snake bit by the defense in the ninth, but he made the mess that he was in as well. He's an all-star. He's got 6 blown saves. Do you trust Holmes in a big-time spot?
I don't, Moose. And it's not to say that he's not, statistically speaking, a guy who's performed as one of the better relievers in the American League. Because if you look, since he's come to the New York Yankees, that's exactly what he's done. But why do I not trust him? He walks way too many guys, and he's a contact pitcher. And when guys are able to go and put the ball in play, sometimes that's going to come back to bite you in the butt. And we've seen it in a couple of games in extra innings for the New York Yankees.
Yep.
And if you're telling me it's a top-notch lineup, the Astros in October, the Orioles in October, you give me the team, I'm sorry. I'm not going to be sitting there saying, yeah, I feel great that Clay Holmes is on the mound. But I think a lot of that, Moose, is due to the fact that a lot of Yankee fans, myself included, we come from this era in which you are so spoiled from what you got with Mariano Rivera that now you're getting a chance to realize and understand what the rest of baseball has been dealing with now with all of their closers.
JJ, second half, how do you think it looks for the Bombers?
They'll be a playoff team, Moose. I think their star power will do enough to get them in the postseason. I think the return of Garrett Cole every 5th day is going to help a rotation that has dramatically regressed. And yeah, when you have that guy and Juan Soto 2 and 3 of your order, I can't imagine you're going to miss the postseason. But the Yankees have some warts and deficiencies. There's no getting around that. They have way too much underperformance up and down their lineup. They're not athletic enough. They need a couple of arms within the bullpen. And to be real, Moose, I don't know if Brian Cashman is going to be able to fix all of the problems that are on this team between now and July 30th. I just think that's probably unreasonable. The Yankees have to hope. Wide open American League. Orioles have some problems themselves. Boston, are they going to go and add a starting pitcher? They're going to get Cassis back to where he needs to be. And what do you know, Moose? The Houston Astros hanging around. They, to me, are still the team that would scare me the most out of anybody in the American League. But to answer your question, Yankees will be a playoff team. What kind of noise they make, I'm not holding my breath.
The Mets' 5-game winning streak came to an end at the hands of the Rockies on Sunday. The Mets couldn't stop Michael Toglia, 3 homers on the day, 2 off Quintana. What happened?
I think it's pretty simple, Moose. Jose Quintana, who's been in a nice groove over his last few starts and has kind of gotten his season back on track. This was just one of those afternoons the command was not there. And I think the problem Jose Quintana runs into, if his command is not where it needs to be, the mistakes that he makes, they're going to leave the ballpark. And that's one thing the Colorado Rockies can do. Look, they can't pitch. They're not a particularly good team, but they have some guys up and down the lineup who can mash and can hit the ball out of the ballpark. So they took advantage of that. The Mets would have easily signed for 5-1 on this homestand. You accept 5-1 on this homestand, but when you see a team as lousy as Colorado, not going to lie, going in, Moose, you're trying to get fat, you're trying to get greedy,
no doubt.
You're trying to sweep this series.
And you're trying to get yourself to 5 games over 500. How about Jose Iglesias, 4 for 4 today?
You see this with teams that come out of nowhere and go on these sort of runs. you need players to be these sort of feel-good stories. Jose Iglesias is the definition of that. I know you're aware of it, the whole OMG thing,
Yeah.
but as far as his
Great
play on the
song.
field, listen, the song's great, Moose. I think his play on the field has been even better. I mean, I don't know what it is from an offensive standpoint. Iglesias has always been a great defensive player, but the time he spent with JD Martinez, maybe it's this idea that he thought his baseball career was over, new lease on life, no pressure, whatever the case may be. He's turned into a hitting machine to the point where a guy who was on the scrap heap, who anybody could have had, the more and more I watch the Mets, Moose, the more and more I want to see Jose Iglesias play. You want to ride this hot hand as long as you can. It's been so much fun to watch.
No doubt. First half, roller coaster ride, plenty of highs and lows. Overview of the Mets here, a team that has played themselves back into contention. What's it look like in the second half?
Moose, I think they're in a really good spot to make the postseason. It's crazy because the Mets, remember, started off the year 0-6. The Mets were double-digit games under the 500 mark. You're thinking they're going to be a massive seller at the trade deadline, and they played brilliantly in the month of June. And the biggest reason why their performance up and down the lineup has been stupendous. Obviously, the lineup change of putting Lindor in the leadoff spot, how he and Brandon Nimmo are not going to the All-Star game, I don't have any idea. Makes absolutely no sense. But hope they use that as continued motivation. I think those two guys, top of the order. Martinez is a stabilizing presence. What Vientos and Alvarez have given you. This is a lineup that's impressive. They need a bullpen arm or two. It's an absolute must. I think they're going to need Senga because as quality as this rotation has been, Moose, it kind of reminds me of the Yankees where they overachieved in April and May, and you saw that regression in June. I'm fearful you're going to get that regression from the Met rotation at some point in time, which means you need an infusion of somebody to kind of give you that kick in the butt to get you to where you need to be. So to me, it's figuring out the bullpen, Diaz being the guy in the ninth inning. They can't afford Diaz being in the first half funk that he was in April and May, and getting Senga back. And I think the ingredients are there in this National League to go and be a playoff team.
John Jastremski, host of the New York podcast. He's fantastic. Always great talking a little bit of baseball with you. JJ, thanks for cutting out some time for us tonight.
Moose, anytime. You got it, buddy.